What's up? What's up, everybody? This is Dell. Welcome to Dell on Movies, and welcome to the very first episode of Movie Swap. And tonight, my guest is none other than Mr. KB Loves Movies. He's the man that gives us the conversation, does a great job with those. So I'm very honored to have him as my first guest. Mr. KB, go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
What's up, brother Dell? Uh, KB loves movies. As Dell mentioned, most of my channel is known for my interview segment called The Conversation. Everyone who's a movie lover like me can answer what I call my five take questions. So, more about that later, but we're going to have a few more five takes coming up in the next month or so.
That's cool. I was gonna ask you that, and I'm gonna ask you that in a couple minutes. But first, I wanted to say, I've watched most of your conversations. My favorite one was one you did just before, or well, actually, you did it Christmas Day. I think you did it with your
Yeah,
family. I didn't catch
yeah.
it live. I caught the replay. How did you put that together? How did you convince everybody to get down with that?
Um, they're a spirited bunch. I'll start with that. But my I do a podcast, and my co-host Kate um, hadn't really heard about the conversation too much. So right there, while we were recording, we went through it. We went through the five takes questions that I do at the end of every conversation. And the last question that I normally ask is, who would you like to see me have a conversation with? So the first person she mentioned was our editor. We do movie reviews on this website. And the second group of people were my kids. So I was like, huh, never thought about bringing them on. So everybody came home for Christmas, and I just brought the idea up, and they were like, when? When are we doing it? It was like, it wasn't even a matter of yes or no. It was like, dope, let's hang out. What do we have to do? We can't play music because you want to be monetized one day. It's like they knew more than me. It
Right,
was
right.
crazy. So yeah, we just set up the time and made sure everyone was ready. We were in our PJs because we didn't go anywhere on Christmas Day. So it was just like we were just chilling, and we had a great time.
That's cool. That's cool. Like I said, that was my favorite conversation. You guys look like you were having a great time. I had a great time watching it. So I'm glad that all came together for you. I just want to acknowledge the people out here in the chat. We got a handful of folks out here. I appreciate each and every one of you. So let's see who's out there right now. We've got Turner Fan saying, "What's up, Turner Fan 77?" He
What's
does a
up?
great, yeah, he does a Rich. He does a great stream with David, the 4K Lowdown. He said he couldn't be here tonight, David. He's doing date night with the wife, but he said to specifically tell you, KB. He said his second cousin said, "What's up?"
Second cousin. Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And we got Mika is out there in the chat. Mika's in every stream just about.
What's up, sis? What's up?
And she helped me promote it. I saw her story on Instagram, a couple of stories on both of her pages. So I really appreciate that, Mika. And we got Tony is here. Basement Blues. What's up, Tony?
Tony, good man right there.
Absolutely. Tony's the best. Just watched his Batman Steelbook video today.
So nice.
Yep. I could do the whole video probably. Here's the front. Here's the back. I'm just giving you a hard time, Tony. You are the man. Emmett is out there. What's up, Emmett?
What's up, Emmett?
And you got to say it with me. Gus.
Gus. He hit me up today talking about Belly. I told him he should get it.
Yeah, I ordered mine, pre-ordered mine from Amazon.
Hmm.
Yesterday I got a message saying it was coming today, and today I got a message saying it was running late. So I don't have mine yet.
Yeah, I got the Steelbook, so I pre-ordered from Best Buy, and I was like, it better be here on Tuesday, because sometimes they be messing around with them target dates and
Right,
shipping
right.
dates and expectant dates. So I was like, no, Tuesday, if not Monday, better be
E-
here.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, I went with the Amazon route. I went with the slipcover. It was a little
Hmm.
cheaper, and yeah, I got kind of kind of hosed a little bit. A little sad it's not here. So I took the time to pre-order it. Robert Makes the Cut is here. What's up, Robert?
What's up, Robert?
Then we got some guys saying what's up back and forth. We got Gus. Emmett's got a question. He said, "Was your win against Martinez Joe my first win in the movie battle over on 4K D-Ray's channel?" It was my first win in 4 tries. I think it was my fourth try. So I'll take it when I can, and a little later on, I'll have more news about Martinez Joe. So Holland, stay tuned for that. Holland Oates is here. Holland is in every stream that I'm in. You got Gus saying what's up. Holland saying what's up. Mika, that Belly Steelbook is beautiful. I saw it on someone else's Instagram. I saw it on someone's Instagram today, and it was beautiful. It did look really good.
Could have been mine because as soon as I got it, I opened it up and I was like, I put it on the table and I was taking pictures because it's basically the opening scene. So if you remember those colors that Hype Williams used when they're in the club, it's beautiful.
Absolutely, with the freaky contacts and everything and everybody's eyes.
Yeah.
All right. We got Tony saying he's still waiting on his Belly Steelbook. So yeah, I'm with you, Tony.
See, you're not alone. I'm usually the one. I get my Best Buy orders on Friday, even if I pre-order. So I was lucky to get it on Tuesday.
All right, Robert Makes the Cut. He's saying me too, but let's go ahead and there's Gus. He's saying that yes, you did seal his decision to purchase the Belly 4K Steelbook. Cool. So let's get into the reason why we're here, and it is Movie Swap. And let me explain what that is. I know I've put it out there a little bit, but let me explain it. So what it is myself and another collector, we took a look at our own collection and tried to find a movie that the other person had not seen, but they would probably like, or at least we think they would like it. And we made that person watch that movie. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So we're going to go ahead and get started with KB's movie. He's the guest in the house tonight. So KB, what movie was it that you had me watch?
All right. Well, both Dell and I are old school cats, so that's one thing. And as of today, it's also Oscar season. So I looked at the calendar. I was like, how can I get that to interact? So my choice for Dell to look at was It Happened One Night. This is the 4K from the Columbia Classics Volume 3. Really nice. The slip has a different cover art. And it's a 2-disc. So the funny story behind this movie, I didn't even tell you about this though. So there is a Criterion Blu-ray of this, and I had it. I bought it, during one of the sales, and I kept it unopened for some reason. So I remember seeing it a couple times, like by the Blu-ray player. I had it in my room, and then one day I went to watch it, can't find it. So I'm like, I'm not even going to trip. I know it's somewhere in the house. I'm going to find it, whatever. Never found it. Looked for it several times, couldn't find it. As some of you know, I just moved recently. We searched that whole house. It is gone. It is long gone. So if somebody took it, I hope they enjoyed the movie, just like I hope you enjoyed the movie, Del. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But 1934, one of the original rom-coms, nice romantic comedy here, and it's one of the first films to be a comedy. Even today, we don't get it too often, that won the Academy Award for Best Picture, 1934. So really good movie in my opinion. Funny, a little slapstick in there. And you think about all the romantic comedies, I don't know, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, or your Julia Roberts and George Clooney today. Well, the last 20 years leading to today, and They pretty much all have their origin as far as tropes and everything from this movie. So I look at this and I see all the movies that followed, and I know that this is the OG. So that's one of the reasons why I recommend it to Dell.
That answers one of my other questions was going to be why recommend this movie. The second
Yeah,
half of this question though is tell me about the first time you saw it. How did that go?
yeah. So about 8 years ago, I went through the American Film Institute, uh, 100 movies, 100 years, and it basically took all the top those movies that everybody assumes that everybody's seen them. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give myself 2.5 years or 1,000 days roughly, and I'm going to watch all 100 movies. And some of them I had, some of them I didn't. Some were first time watches, some were rewatches. A lot of them were Best Picture winners, but this was one of them, and I had never seen it. And I started watching it. I'm like, yo, I've never seen that in a movie this old. Come to find out, doing a little research, a lot of those, like I said, those romantic comedy tropes that we see today started with this movie. It's rough in a few places, just, the timing of the movie and male female relationships. That's all I'll say about that. But I enjoyed it. And I kind of held it up in an origin uh, position as far as like what I see in other romantic comedies the following years, uh, years preceding that or years after that. So yeah, I watched that. Other movies I saw for the first time was Birth of a Nation. Never saw that one before.
Yeah, I've seen that one, and yeah,
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 yeah. Triumph of Will, which essentially was a propaganda film, but wasn't it well made? I have to give them that. I'll give them credit for that. It was a well made movie. Can't take that away
it's
from
a
them. But
it's a technical marvel for when it came out, no
yeah,
doubt, no
yeah.
doubt.
It basically showed you the strength and the, I don't know, just everything that was powerful about the regime at the time. But that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah,
That was the first time I watched that movie.
different movie, different conversation for the other one. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, and we could have it. We could
oh yeah,
go there.
oh yeah. Um, all right. So obviously, this is my first time watching It Happened One Night. So what I want to do is just kind of well, let's give a quick setup on what the plot line is for
Yeah,
anybody who's not familiar with it. We meet Ellie at the beginning, and that was I don't know, maybe it's my setup. Sometimes I heard Ellen, sometimes I heard Ellie, and I think they might have used both.
yeah,
Um, okay, so Ellie is she's the lead actress. She's the daughter of a really rich guy, and she's supposed to be getting married to another rich guy, and her dad doesn't like the guy. I'm really shorthanding this. Dad doesn't like the guy and doesn't want her to marry him. He's pretty much, holding her almost like he's holding her hostage, and she he just won't let her go. She decides to run away basically and to go to be with her fiance so she can actually get married. So she's gonna planning on eloping. She runs away, escapes, and along the way she meets Peter, played by Clark Gable, and he kind of sees she needs a lot of help to get where she's going and kind of takes pity on her, and the two of them go from there.
yeah.
And yeah, we follow the now familiar rom com tropes till
Hmm.
we get to
I,
the end, pretty much.
yeah,
How'd I
I
do with
forgot to
that?
mention that it's Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert,
Yeah.
the two stars. So
All right. How'd I do with that summary there?
on point.
Okay, cool. All right. So my first thing that struck me, let's go ahead and start talking right away about
Yeah.
uh the female character, female lead, Ellie Claudette Colbert. And my question really is, could Ellie exist in a movie today? So let me kind of give you my thoughts on what I was seeing.
Hmm.
So it was like once she made the decision to run away, but once she did that, she was pretty much helpless. she was pretty much helpless without a Clark Gable around, or without men in general. She always needed them for something. Uh,
Hmm.
she didn't really she didn't really play a role in her own in the an outcome of her own story, and a very small role. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So when it didn't look like, and spoiler warning, we're gonna try not to spoil it too much, but it's a very old movie, and we kind of want to talk about the movie, so I may spoil it here some. But when we get to that inevitable point in a rom com where the two lead characters are separated for whatever reason and it looks final, the way they get back together again is entirely up to Peter. She really
Yeah.
has nothing to do with it. She's like, okay, well, if it's not going to work out with this man, I'll just go back and be with the other man.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of what I was seeing with the movie. So can you speak a little bit to that, or tell me how you feel about that?
Yeah. First, I was thinking no because of the independence that, is highlighted a lot in today's films, especially with women and so forth. But then I immediately thought of a very recent rom-com called Marry Me with Jennifer Lopez.
Yes,
And
I saw
once
that.
again, not to give anything away from it, but there was a scene where, she's this rich pop star and he suggests a day without any of her helpers. So
Yes.
nobody to do her hair, nobody to drive her around, let her into the house, blah, blah, blah. And the similarities between the two characters in Ellie in this one and J Lo's character in that one, where it was kind of like they were helpless without the people that they're used to being around them. So although that trope has changed in a way, it's not so much a man dominance thing, but having that rich girl be like so dependent on others, that trope still is being used in movies today. So I could see it existing in that way. But in the way, like you just mentioned, where it's like male dependent, I don't think a movie these days, especially since things like the Me Too movement and so forth, I don't think they would try to highlight that, she needs a man kind of thing. But that whole thing about being rich and being used to people doing things for you, I could see that existing.
Okay. And interesting you brought up Marry Me, because I did watch that a few months
Oh yeah.
back. Yeah. Yeah. So I have seen that movie.
Hmm.
And yeah, now that you mention it, there are some similarities between the characters. I would
Yeah.
say the one difference being that we always know that J Lo's character in Marry Me is rich and powerful, no
Yeah.
matter no matter what. So her going without the people to do things for her is a sacrifice, not necessarily a real problem for her. It's just a temporary sacrifice.
Yeah.
But
It
but
was
yes,
just that scene reminded me of it as I was thinking about how to answer that question. But that independence is still being used in movies. So
okay. So you mentioned male female dynamics in general, and we talked a little bit about it. So it always strikes me funny in old movies when uh, the people involved are prudish by today's standards. So
hmm.
in this case, it was, they met, or they had to stay in the hotel room together, and they put up the clothesline and had the blanket over the clothesline, and she's hiding on
Yeah,
one
yeah.
side of it. Um, so that was funny to me, because you mentioned we're both old school guys, and I
What did
like
you think of?
I laughed. I laughed, and it was like, because if you get so used to seeing it the other way.
Hmm.
So in movies now, where people are just throwing themselves at each other,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
if you watch TV shows on Netflix, some of those series like Bridgerton or something like that, everybody's throwing
Hmm.
themselves at each other. So it was refreshing in that sense. It was like, oh man, everybody's not really just, everybody's not just out here trying to get in the bed right away.
Right.
But at the same time, it was like, man, that's kind of weird. you know, I get it. You just met this man, and no, we're
Yeah.
not going to sleep in the same bed. But I'm not going through all the trouble of putting up the clothesline and all that, and the blanket over it.
There's no bathroom in the room either, so it's not like she could like go in the bathroom and change her clothes or whatever.
True, very true, very true. Because that was going to be my next one. Was like, okay, you can go in the bathroom
Yeah,
and
yeah,
change real quick. But of course, like you said, there was no bathroom in the room, and then
yeah.
that kind of reminds me of the shower scene where she has to go and stand in line to
Hmm.
get in the shower
Yeah, yeah. Um,
outside.
I'm gonna act like it's just you and me talking because,
Yeah,
we old school, like you said. You remember Who's the Boss?
absolutely.
They use that scene with Judith Light and Tony Danza. They use that scene with putting the curtain between the two of them in the cabin and everything. Like when I first saw it, I was like, that's from Who's the Boss? It was
You
like
know,
it just came right back to me.
okay. See, I watch Who's the Boss all the time, and I didn't think of it till you just said it. Now I
Yeah,
kind of remember it. They went on like a family vacation or something, and they
yeah.
had to stay. Yeah, okay, I do remember that. That's pretty good.
But this is what I'm talking about with this movie. I mean, a lot of those things that we see like all the time on TV shows when we were growing up and movies, even up to today, many of them started in this movie, and it's amazing because you think about it for the time. There was some prudishness to it, but also there were a few risque things at the same time, like two married people even staying in the same room to begin with in the
Right.
30s. They
Yeah.
did not
Yeah.
show that on any form of media. TV wasn't around yet, so movies, no,
No, they
no.
didn't. But I will say this for that they made it clear that when they checked into these places, they were checked in as a married couple, and
Yeah,
then they went through the lengths to show that there was separation between them. Before we
hmm,
continue, I just want to get into the chat just a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
And Emmett is asking, what did I think about the movie collection battle question about showing your favorite and least favorite DC movies? For me personally, I'm always down to talk superhero movies. If you can't really tell, I got on a Batman shirt even tonight. So I love those kinds of questions. Not sure if you have any feelings on that, Mr.
Um,
K.
I thought it was a cool question. Um, yeah.
All right. Mika hasn't seen this one, so she's looking forward to hearing our thoughts on it. So far, I hope you enjoy our thoughts on it. And if any of you enjoy our thoughts on it, go ahead and hit the like button for me. If you feel so compelled, go ahead and subscribe and come back next time because I plan on doing this again. Thanks again, Mika. And I can't believe your Criterion set just disappeared.
Man, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm just happy I got it on 4K now because I looked at a stream just this week. I looked at a streaming copy that I had, and it looks so soft compared to the 4K. The 4K is like a pristine print. And looking back at the Criterion Blue, I mean, it's good, it's clean. There's like no defects in it, but it looks soft in comparison to the 4K. So I would say to Mika, um, if you're planning to get Columbia Classics Volume 3, you'll get that on it. If not, you can't go wrong with the Criterion Blu-ray. Hey, somebody may have one for sale if they stole it from my house. I don't know.
just may have one they got for free,
May,
huh?
maybe.
All right. Tony watched it for the first time a few months ago and enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Very cool, Tony. And Huck is here. What's up, Huck?
What's up,
He is
Huckster?
Huck is the trivia man.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Turner. I plan on keeping it going. He tells me to keep it going, so I plan on it. But let's go ahead and get back to the movie a little bit. So let's talk about Clark Gable's character. I have only seen Clark Gable in Gone with the Wind until I watched this movie.
Mm.
So for me, Clark Gable was, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. That was him.
Right,
That's it.
right.
Rhett Butler. So it was the only thing. So it was good to see him in something that I didn't hate. That's first, because I'm not
Hmm.
a big fan of Gone with the Wind. Another
Me
very well
neither.
made movie. So it was interesting to see him. And I thought as a performer, he was pretty good. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if he was best actor good because I know he won Oscar and Claudette Colbert won Oscar for this.
Yep.
What did you think of his performance?
I've seen better from him, and it could be more like a character thing more than a performance thing for me, just because he was. It's kind of like with the people he knew, he was a stand-up guy, but at times with her, he was like very rigid. But at the same time, he was doing everything possible for her. So like that guy that he pulled into the woods when they got off the bus,
Hmm.
that's really all for
Right.
her benefit and everything.
Are we talking about Shapley?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my favorite character. He got on and he was quick talking and he wouldn't shut up. He was my guy. He was the most memorable part of the movie for me.
And
And, and, and
it was kind of like a rough around the edges character, but in the long haul, he was there to help her. And
yes,
you know how it turned out. But it's like I've seen better performances, and it could just be the character that he was playing. It's not somebody you would look at today and say, "Oh, I absolutely adore him." But you do like the romantic dynamic between the two and how it builds over the movie.
it does. So we're overall. Uh, I did like the movie. I did enjoy the movie. Where it fell a little bit flat for me was in some of the comedy areas,
Hmm.
and that's comedy is a very subjective thing, and it doesn't necessarily age all that well sometimes. So
Right.
some of the comedy didn't really just thudded on me. It's not that I was offended or anything by it. It's just
Hmm.
that something would happen and I would go, man, this is supposed to be a comedy. I'm not laughing as much as I thought I would. But some
That
of it,
scene with Shapley was the part that I actually laughed out loud.
yes. Shapley, he was it for me. He was the guy for me.
Yeah.
Especially when Peter kind of propositioned him for his help.
Yeah.
After he had done all that talking, he's like, "Wow, wait a minute, I don't know." So
You do
he
that
was
very
my.
well.
Oh yeah, I might be guilty of paying a little extra attention when he was on the screen. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I could understand that. Talking about my kids like we were earlier, the one thing I always try to show them is take the movie for the time and the context in which it was recorded or filmed or whatever, because you can't judge it by today's standard. Everything is different, including comedy and timing and jokes, and like even the jargon that we use is totally different from then. But yeah, there were some times that it's not a perfect movie to me. Um, we'll get to the ratings, I'm sure, but um, I agree with you. Sometimes just fell flat, but you have to think also what else came out that year that was even comparable. It wasn't much. So
right, as far as especially as far as comedy goes, and I looked over the list of the movies that it was up against for Best Picture that year. I only one I saw was the one I think is actually better, and that's The Thin Man.
mm, yeah,
So
they didn't take that movie very seriously, even though it was a box office hit. I mean, I don't know if you know this about The Thin Man, but it's actually one of the first movies to spawn sequels. They got like five sequels to that thing.
well, I knew there were sequels. I did not know that it was one of the first two Spawn sequels, though.
Yeah, yeah. I think the only other one was King Kong, and that was the money grab. They turned around and made Son of Kong with the same set and everything. But
Well,
like,
Frankenstein was also around that time, right?
yeah, to get Bride. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So yeah, I did not know that that was one of the first. I knew there were a bunch of them. I've only seen the first one, so I don't know if
Hmm.
any of the others are any good or not.
There's
Um,
one where James Stewart plays a villain.
that's always interesting, and
You got to see that one.
and I know you're a Hitchcock guy,
Yeah, yeah.
and so my favorite Hitchcock movie is the one where James Stewart is kind of the villain, and that's Vertigo.
Hmm.
So, and I'm always I like when good guys play against type, so-called good guys play against
Yeah,
type,
me too. And
and
that's one of my favorites as well.
yeah, he was awesome in that movie. All right, so back to It Happened One Night.
Hmm.
My overall thoughts on it. It was a good movie. I did enjoy it. Like you said, not perfect, but it was definitely worth the watch for
Yeah.
sure. So my own question to myself, and I'll ask you of the other movie a little bit later, is that would I recommend this movie? Not why I recommend this movie. Here you go. Would I recommend this movie to someone else? So I would say for it would I would have to know that a person is willing to uh first willing to watch old movies.
Right.
That's the obvious caveat. And
Hmm.
I'm in a former Blockbuster employee, so I spent a lot of time recommending movies to people, and
Right.
you have to know a little bit of something about their taste before
Hmm.
you recommend something. And it would have to be somebody definitely open to older movies and definitely open to rom-coms, because I'm
Yeah.
not the hugest rom-com guy either. Even today, I'm not the hugest rom-com guy. I watch them, but they're usually not movies that rise to the top for me.
Yeah.
So, you think I'm pretty spot on that, or would you add something to that?
No, I would say those are two things. Also, if they're willing to see it with the eyes of the time in which it was filmed.
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely have to pay attention to the time and allow the movie its time period. All right. So before we get to the other movie, I just want to get back into to the chat. We left Turner fan did say keep this going, and Mika agreed. She said great idea for a series. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
Turner agreeing again. So Mika says so true about taking the movie for what it is based on. The release. The film is from 1934, so the comedy could be more in tune with the time. Now it is, and I didn't really mention this when you were talking about it, but for me, it was a little disappointing in that, even though I know it's from that time, but because I'm still a guy who will sit on YouTube for a little while and watch a bunch of Abbott and Costello. So
Yeah.
I'm not completely removed from that time,
Hmm.
but Mika and of course you guys make a great point. Holland says I'll have to give this a go. I know nothing of this clothesline business.
You've seen it in some movie or some TV show. You just didn't know where it came from.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So it looks like we got 8 people here, and that's probably 7 more than I expected or deserved. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Again, go ahead and hit the like button if you did not do that. Subscribe to Mr. KB, of course, if you haven't already done that. Subscribe to me if you feel so compelled. And we're gonna go ahead and switch gears. We're gonna look at the other movie that we're gonna talk about tonight, the movie that I made Mr. KB watch, and that movie is Mother. It's a Korean movie directed by Bong Joon Ho. He directed Parasite, so he got really popular a couple years ago when that won Best Picture. And of course, he's in the Criterion Collection with that movie and Oakja, and it might be another movie that he has in there. I'm not sure. Um,
Memories of Murder.
there you go. Memories of Murder, which is sitting on my shelf and I have not watched yet.
You got to check that out.
Everybody tells me this, so hopefully I'll watch it soon. If not, a future guest will make me watch it. One or the other is going to happen. But Mother came out in 2009, and in this movie, uh, we meet the mother, and that's all she's ever called. She's not really given a name in the movie. Um, and when we meet her, the camera's like right on her face, and we see her, she's busy at work, and she's looking across the street at her son at the same time. I'm guessing early 20s, but he's also special needs. He's definitely on the spectrum, and so she always kept a close eye on him, and while she's watching him, a car kind of zooms past him, and almost hits him as he was kind of, was it a dog he was messing with in the street, or yeah,
Yeah.
it was a dog, and so he stepped back out of the way just in time. One of his friends saw this happen and said, "Okay, well we got to go get these guys." And it's a Mercedes Benz, and they make a big deal out of that because they say if the Mercedes Benz in this area could only be going to one place, and they go to this golf course, they find the Mercedes, the rear view mirror gets kicked off, the side view mirror rather gets kicked off by one of the two boys, either her son or this other gentleman. And then they go and confront the guys on the golf course, and there's some great scenes. Long story short is that they leave there, and the son, he's a little upset with mom, a little upset over what happened, but he doesn't always retain everything as much as other people do. And he goes out, decides to get drunk one night. He's drinking, and he follows this girl home, or he's following her. And the next time we see her, she is dead on the roof of a building. And of course, all fingers point to her son, and they arrest him, put him in jail, and she decides to go on a quest to find the real killer. So that is Mother. First time I actually saw this, I saw this about maybe 6 7 years ago. I saw this. I was in the at that time I was renting a lot of movies from the local library, and I was looking for something different. I was in the foreign film section, and I picked it up and read the box and said, "Ah, this might be interesting," and took it home and watched it, and fell in love with the story, style of storytelling, um, and definitely with our lead character, Mother. I was, man, we should all have a mother like this. But then
Word.
we'll get into what she does. So
Yeah.
I really really enjoyed this movie, and that's why I recommended this movie to Mr. KB. I know that he is a fan of Bong Joon Ho.
Big one.
So yeah, so and found one that he hadn't seen. So I was like, okay, we gotta check this one out.
Yeah. This was on my short list of movies of his that I'm like, I still haven't seen that. And I think the only other film of his now that's available is an import. Um, don't remember the title, but anyway, I was happy to see it on the list and get to choose it because, like you said, I wanted to see it, and I'm a big fan of Bong Joon-ho movies. The thing that I always find about his movies is how they relate in some way to another one of his movies. Like his storytelling is relatable in one story to another, one movie to another. So another reason why I say you need to see Memories of Murder is because it felt relatable to that movie. Whereas in that movie, and I'm not spoiling anything here, we're really seeing things from the perspective of the police. In this one, we're seeing um, perspective from the people involved in the murder. And very similar the way the investigation goes along. And I have to look and see, maybe you could look up while I'm speaking which one comes first. In other words, which one inspired the other. But I think Mother came first, if I'm correct. But Memories of Murder is actually based on a true story that recently just wrapped up. But anyway, I was glad for the recommendation. The story paid off very well from what I saw, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. It was solid.
Memories of Murder came out 2003, so 6 years
Uh,
before Mother came out.
Mother. Yeah. So maybe because Memories is based on a true story, that's how it moved along, and the similarities popped up in Mother.
Okay. So, what did you think of? I'm gonna save Mother herself
Hmm.
a little bit. So, my next favorite character was Jinte, the
Yeah.
friend, the best friend.
Yeah. He was mysteriously odd. That's the best way
Yes.
I put it. There are things that happens to him or things that he does that you see, you get a chance as, you know, a voyeur or that God's eye view to see him do or experience, and you're like, how did that or what? And you don't know the answers to it. And for the most part, it's not really revealed totally. And that made him interesting because it was like a man of mystery thing, but also he was an instigator.
Yes.
So that added to it as well. It was kind of like, you know, your friend has special needs, so you could like blame things on him here and there. So, yeah, I agree. He was definitely my second favorite character, but Mother took the cake. She,
All right.
she's it.
So yeah, she was awesome. So like I said, we're gonna get to her. So let me stick with Jinte for a minute. So
Hmm.
you brought up something that I wanted to touch on. See, my best friend is special needs, so I can blame things on him. So with that in mind, how long of the movie did you last thinking that he did it?
That Jinte did it.
Yes, that he was the one to blame.
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say up until the last 20 minutes.
Up until the last 20 minutes. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. When that new character is introduced, and then you're like, ah, and then the reveal happens. So, yeah,
Right.
up until then, I was convinced it was him for reasons that I don't really want to get into, but money's involved and so forth. So I was like, he's doing a little too much here.
Yeah, he
That
was doing a
sounds
lot.
guilty. Yeah,
Yeah, he was doing a lot. So for me, what Bong Joon-ho did really well was he made it seem as if the blame could really be in a couple places before we get to where the blame really lies,
hmm,
and that that kept me on the edge of my seat. And then, of course, Mother trying to figure it out herself.
yeah.
So
He does the misdirect really well.
he does. So a heartbreaking scene for me on one end, but then almost reaffirming scene for me was getting back to the son. Now is he's in prison, and she goes to visit him, and he tells her to go away. He never wants to see her. He doesn't want to see her again. Don't ever come back.
Yeah, that was
So
rough.
that was rough. But as he was doing it, and it was like, you know what? He by tomorrow he may not remember he said that.
Yeah, yeah. And it was almost like a moment of clarity right before that. So you're watching, you're like, what did he just remember? Or what did
Right.
he just figure out in his mind? And it's not revealed and it's not mentioned. So it's like you just get that follow up, and it's just there's no other emotion for you to feel. You're not even stuck on, well, why did he say that? You're like too busy being heartbroken because you've seen it from mother's perspective.
Yeah, exactly. We've been watching it through her eyes this entire time,
Yeah.
and when they
So you
do,
feel her emotion.
yeah, you feel her emotions. So, but when they do switch over to his perspective, he is, for me, he's a really, let me see how to phrase this. He's a really reliable, unreliable narrator, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah. In
He
moments.
Right, right. So he sees something or he experiences something, and he's going back through it, but you already know that this may not be quite the way things went down.
Yeah. It's not reliable.
Right. And when I say reliably unreliable is I you know it, he's reliable that it's not right, but then you have to kind of guess, well, how
What
much
is?
is right, or how much
Yeah.
isn't right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the part of the movie that, like you said before, it just keeps you involved. It's a page turner, as we would say, because you want to know, well, what's the next clue, or what's the next person that you're going to see that's involved in this. How is she going to figure it out? And then when she does, what is going to be her reaction?
Quite the reaction. So we're going to get into Mother in just a second. Just a few comments here. I just want to get into the chat here and acknowledge some folks. Mika, love Bong Joon-ho, great director. Another favorite of mine from his is Snowpiercer.
Love Snowpiercer. Love it.
Snowpiercer. Go ahead. You can talk about Snowpiercer.
No, I was just going to say there's parts in that movie where it's almost like a video game. So the part where the lights go out, that's like straight up like not even a first person shooter, but some type of action based video game. And I love that about it. And I love the culture and the cast system involved in it. It's just amazing. It's a great movie.
The whole thing, you start at one level and you just got to keep advancing levels until you get to the big boss at the end.
Yep.
So yeah, time for a rewatch for me. It's been a long time since I've watched that one.
Same here.
All right, Culture Trini's in the house. What's up, Culture Trini?
What's up, Trini?
Got a couple of Hayes here from Holland. Haven't seen Mother, but sounds up my alley. Mika, I think you would really enjoy.
You would love it.
I think you would really enjoy. It's not a horror movie, but it's definitely a thriller. Definitely a psychological thriller. There are a few horror elements, not many, but it's definitely can be disturbing depending on how you take the ending.
Yeah. Funny enough, I had it on a wish list with other movies, most of them being foreign horror movies. And I had it right after The Sadness. And I'm like, so is Mother a horror movie? I don't remember. And I had to go back and look at the synopsis. And I was like, oh, no. We're straight.
No.
It's not a horror movie.
Not a horror
it's
movie.
just right next to a horror movie.
It is not a horror. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about Mother. So she gets notified. Her little boy's in jail, and that he's killed somebody, and she pretty immediately springs into action.
Yep.
Okay, I know she said it a lot in the movie. But do you think that she was convinced of his innocence the entire time?
I think she wanted him to be innocent. And it was not like a belief, but it was like, there's no way that he could have. I really wish he didn't. Kind of,
Right.
It's like you verbally say one thing, but in your mind, you're thinking something related, but a lot different. You're like, oh, I really hope he didn't do it.
Yeah. That's definitely the sense I get out of it. So she goes through and she's trying to get all these people's attention, and she went and got the lawyer. She tried to get the lawyer initially, and for me, this is mostly the part where Bong Joon-ho gets into classism, as he does in several movies.
Yep.
So what do you think about how she dealt with that whole situation?
Well, I think it was inevitable that she was going to reach a certain point. And it's like between not believing and being dismissive, everyone has a breaking point. And I think she just hit that.
She definitely hit that. She hit that point where it's like, okay, well, I've just got to go forward. I've got to do it. Now, she had a side hustle. Her side, she had a regular job, but her side hustle, she did acupuncture, which she got, scolded for and chastised. She shouldn't do that without a license. And I'm not going to spoil it. Just know that it pays off. And
I'll say this. I want her to do some acupuncture on me. Because she has a technique that I might need just to get rid of a few old ghosts.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
So that kind of answers my question for me, but when it happened, if you can without spoiling it, when it happened, when it
Hmm.
finally paid off,
Hmm.
what were you thinking?
First thought was unbelievable. Second thought was, I need me some of that. But but honestly, I think it was one or two things, and by choosing that solution, I think that was the only way that she could go on. I don't think that making the other choice that was some people might even see it as inevitable. I don't think that would have helped anybody involved. I think
Right.
that's vague enough.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna hit you with the difficult question.
Ooh.
If you could, if
Hmm.
you really could, and I know you just mentioned it, you need me some of that. Your child is in that situation. Are you doing that?
Nah, nah. I I'm too stoic for that. For my kid, nah. You 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 do what you got to do. But like, I don't know. I would say for me, I'd think about it. But for them, nah,
Okay.
nah. It is a difficult question because you're really like fine lining morals and everything, and it's like, nah, nah. There's a reason this turned out the way it did. So
Yeah,
this is hard being vague,
it
there's
is.
this there's a series that I want to start, through the conversations, all that. I get a lot of recommendations, and it's like I want to watch these movies that people recommend and then just get them on a live stream similar to this and just be like, hey, I watched that thing, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And to talk about a movie, pass a review or plot synopsis, whatever, and not give away spoilers or not go into it. I mean, like when we do a podcast, what we do is we talk about it surface level and then we save the spoilers for the
Right.
end. So we sign off the podcast, boom, boom, boom. If you want to keep listening, you know, I even play that scene from Step Brothers with the little girl saying, snitches get stitches. And then he's like, what does that mean? She's like, I don't know. I'm a kid. But then after that, boom, we go into the spoilers. So if you
Right.
say after all that, you really want to know. So I I I don't know. Going forward, it's hard to do this without spoilers, especially a very complex movie like this.
Yes, it is definitely complex. It is not a turn your brain off popcorn flick.
No, no, no,
There are
no, no.
there are lots of themes going on, and I mentioned classism a little while ago, and it really runs throughout the movie for me.
In
So the
different ways.
lawyer, yeah, it's highlighted, during the lawyer scene, but even right at the beginning when she goes into the police station, they're really dismissive of her. And
Hmm.
it's, you're just a poor lady, you can't afford anything. And what I've gathered from a lot of Korean movies is that for certain crimes, you're basically able to pay a penance and it goes away. But she
Yeah.
obviously can't afford to pay that. So they're like, oh,
Hmm.
well, he's just going to jail. That's the end of it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty
Even the
much.
scene with the golf players, it's a matter of the way they're treated is a class thing.
Right.
It's kind of like you're all arrested, but you're gonna be all right because
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like paying for a round of drinks when you go out with the boys. Everybody
Exactly.
else can't necessarily pay that fee.
Exactly, exactly. So that is it was interesting revisiting this because at the time I saw Mother, it was the first Bong Joon-ho film that I saw at the very
Oh
first time I
wow,
saw it.
yeah, yeah.
So revisiting it now after seeing other movies of his, I can see
Hmm.
where he has similar themes running through the movies.
Hmm.
So now I'm getting excited for Memories of Murder now. So thank you.
Yeah,
So I'm
but like
definitely.
you're saying, that classism, I mean, it runs through other movies, like you said, Parasite, and we were just talking Snowpiercer. So
Mhm.
it's a reoccurring theme in his movies for sure.
Absolutely. Now there's another movie that he didn't do, another Korean movie. I'm curious if you had seen because it tackles a similar subject matter. It's called Poetry. Have you heard of this movie?
Mm-mm.
So I'll have to find the director here. So the story is that there's a woman living with her grandson, and he's a teenager, and he's a knucklehead, and they rape him and his friends rape a girl. There's really no question that he did it or didn't do it. That's not a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
So what she has to do then is what they're told, and someone going back to the paying this penance, is that all the parents, all the guardians of all these children are fine. They have to pay this penance, and she is the only one that can't afford her share,
Oh, wow.
and she has to go about uh, figuring out how to get the money.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's I think it's a brilliant movie. So if you ever have a chance, it's called Poetry. It is a Korean movie, and if I can't find it while we're on, I'll get it to you after we're done. Get you at least the director and the year it came out.
Yeah.
Um,
See,
but
you just became a future guest on So I Saw That Thing.
oh, there we go. That works. That works. So you did say you enjoyed. I'm gonna let you give. Go ahead, matter of fact, go ahead and give your overall thought. If you have anything else to add
Yeah.
about.
Like I said before, it's it's definitely a movie that's mystery based. It keeps you involved. It keeps you guessing. You feel a range of emotions from being angry with the situation to being curious about the clues that are given to you, uh, surprised or shocked in certain scenes of what you're seeing as a viewer that others don't. And then the ending is just wow. And my thing is if a movie can end on a strong point, you're gonna win points with me. So definitely this film earned points just based alone on how it ended. So yeah, I would say the last 20 minutes or so better than the rest of the movie as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I would recommend it, and um, not just for Bong Joon-ho fans, but for anyone who can stay with a foreign film, has no problem reading subtitles, like a good mystery, and has some type of clue with how their their judicial system and their law system works. So it's not a mystery to them, but it definitely keeps you involved.
It definitely does. I'm gonna give a super slight spoiler. It begins it actually begins with dancing, and it actually ends with dancing, and you got to
Hmm.
now see it to see what all happens between the two dances.
Yep.
And we're gonna go ahead and get out of here in a few minutes. Let me go ahead back through the chat.
I swear she was listening to some Isley Brothers, not what we were listening to on screen. She
Very
was moving
possible.
too groovy for something else, than some 70s funk or something.
Very possible. Very possible. Mika says it's so great to share recommendations with others and discover new films you may have never heard of. I love hearing others' perspectives, and that's kind of why I started this, Mika. I do love talking film with people, and I definitely want to hear other people's perspectives. Uh,
That's Reaction. That's the one she recommended to me.
oh, cool.
You got to see that.
All right. And here, yes, I would imagine that you would have to give some spoilers away to go into greater detail about the film. Absolutely, and I gave away probably a little more than I wanted to or I should have, but I think you'll still really enjoy it. I don't think I gave away much at all.
Not
Uh,
too much.
no, not much at all. Hard Copy Blues is in here. What's up, Hard Copy
What up,
Blues?
Ben?
And he did walk into some other discussion. Love that movie. Top 3 June Ho for me.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in agreement, but again, my opinion doesn't count yet. I haven't seen Memories of Murder, so we'll see if it stays there. Hollow Notes agrees. KB is thinking.
I'm thinking if it's top three for me, but
Right.
I have to look back at the whole filmography. But it's up there. It's definitely up there.
Cool. Lee Chang Dong That is a director of poetry. Thank you, Hard Copy Blues. I've championed poetry on my channel many times, so I do have another fan of that movie. It's a great movie.
Nice, nice.
I'll have to add poetry to my watch list as well. Please do, and definitely let me know if you enjoy it.
Glad I'm not
Oh
the only one.
no, the big man is here. The Oscar-winning mid-level
Oh,
media.
it's a
What's up,
season.
Ken? Thank you for joining my little stream here, Ken. Same for Mr. Michael Bledstein. He arrived late. What two movies were we sharing? We just finished talking about Mother by Bong Joon-ho, Korean film. The same director as Parasite and Okja, if you're not really familiar with the name. And we also talked about It Could Happen One Night, Best Picture winner from 1934. I enjoyed It Happened One Night. KB recommended that one to me. I enjoyed it. Didn't quite love it, but I did enjoy it. And KB, did you love Mother?
I would say yes.
He would say yes on Mother. So I recommended that one to him. Mika, what did you recommend, KB? Is this Resurrection?
Yeah.
All right. Huck's Good Times, fellas. The biggest takeaway is to always attempt to watch the movie in the time in which it was made. The right mindset is key for enjoying some of these movies. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think Michael just answering the questions for us. Emmett, what did you think about? Oh, wait, we went way back. How did I get that one? Or did he resend it? Yeah, okay. It looks like he resent
probably
it.
resent it.
Yep, we talked about that. Chang Dong is so good. Check out Secret Sunshine and Burning by him as well. Both amazing. I have to see both of those. I have not seen any other of his movies, so I will definitely be checking out. Ken is a fan of Mother. He says Mother was wild, loved it. Glad
It's not the Jennifer Lawrence version though.
No, not the. So okay, so all right, I'm gonna put myself out there. I am a defender of that movie. I actually like that movie. What do you think of that movie?
I'm not gonna curse on your channel. I promise you. I'll just say this. So my wife, we're sitting there, and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot may have came out our mouths a few times. Like, what the? Huh? What is this? What the? But then, I put out my review on Letterboxd, whatever. And then I'm reading some other people's and, introspective views in the years following. I was like, oh. So then I watched it again. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
I just got it on Blu-ray, and I picked it up and I showed it to her. I was like, we're gonna rewatch this, and she's like, yeah, I'm willing to rewatch it. So there you go.
Cool. Let me know if that goes any better for her. I'm curious.
Will do.
All right. And Michael says, I agree that It Happened One Night was good, but not great.
Mm-hmm.
He corrected his English there. No, his typing, no problem. And yeah, thank you, Hard Copy Blues. That Aronofsky movie is solid too. I like it.
Yeah.
I only saw the Jennifer Lawrence version. So yeah, check out This Mother, Michael. If you since you haven't seen it, I would say check it out. Both of us really enjoyed this movie, so yeah, it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so thank you for hanging out with me tonight, KB. I really appreciate this. You are my first guest. I'm so honored to have you as my first guest.
I'm honored that I'd be first. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Who else would I have but to have a conversation with but the man who does the conversations?
I like this. I like this setup. I think moving forward, I don't know who else you have lined up, but I think this is a good format. And I look forward to future episodes, and I'll be in the chat.
Cool. I will talk about who I have coming up soon. Just a couple questions here. Who's my favorite actor that played Batman? I'm a Christian Bale guy, even though Robert Pattinson was really good. Michael Keaton was really good. I don't dislike anybody that's really played Batman yet so far.
Yeah.
Is The Other Mother a remake? No, completely separate movies, completely separate storylines. One has nothing to do with the other.
Not
Same
a
question.
thing.
Yeah, not at all. Mika says, great conversation. Thank you, Mika.
Thank you.
All right. So KB, I'm not even going to ask the question unless you don't answer it in your finale, but I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead and tell the people about your channel and who
Yeah.
you are. Go for it.
Yep. KB loves movies. Uh, do movie reviews out of the theater stuff, but most of the time it's having conversations with other movie lovers. In the month of February, I'm going to take what I call the 5 takes, which is the last 5 questions of my conversations that I ask everyone. Um, there was one time that I did it and I just shortened it to just be the 5 takes. And I'm going to do that for the month of February. So look forward to that. You're going to see a lot more than just content creators. You're going to see other movie lovers from other walks of life. So I think that is a great opportunity to open it up to people that you may not know. They don't necessarily have a YouTube page or maybe even an IG, but we all love movies. So it's great to hear from other movie lovers. You might get some hot takes, and who don't love hot takes? So check out my 5 take segments in the month of February. 5 takes February.
There you go. 5 take February. So you
Yep,
kind
yep.
of sort of answered my question. When's the
hmm
next conversation?
Next conversation is coming up later this week. And if you're on Instagram and you follow me there, look for the announcement of who it is. Kind of keeping on the low for now, but look forward to that.
All right. So thank you everybody in the chat who kept the conversation going down there. We got up to as many as 10, which I'm pleased with. I know for somebody like KB, that's small beans, but for me, I really, really appreciate everybody that's here. Go ahead and smash the like on your way out if you have not done it already. Help me out just a little bit. Subscribe to KB, subscribe to myself if you enjoyed the show tonight. My next episode will be next Tuesday, and I am going to have Martinez movies we'll talk about. Just come back and find out next Tuesday. In the meantime, I'll have a couple of videos that'll go up for you guys to watch. I do have my best and worst of 2022 out there, and I ranked the entire MCU also last week before last. So those videos are definitely out there for you to see. And thank you again for joining me. Quick time, because I only got a couple of comments down here in the chat, so I'll go through them really quickly. Emmett says, do you think there will be a reboot of 1997 Anaconda? I doubt it, but anything's possible. No idea. Yeah, Kristen Bell is same choice for Mike for as Batman goes. 5 takes in January. Are you doing one? Well, January is just about over, right? You said next week, but you're not doing just the 5 takes. You're doing a whole conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. And Culture Trini is out, and we are going to be out too. Catch you guys next week. Bye.
I watch a movie.
And looks like it's spinning.